Last year, I was your real estate agent. This year, the real estate market is no good. I've upgraded myself. I've become a financial planner. Okay. As a financial planner, I was sitting in my office. Mr. and Mrs. Tan came to consult me. They are reaching 55. They have to make decisions on their CPF and their retirement plans, so they came to ask me to talk through their options. Let me show you. Here's Mr. Tan. He's 54 plus years old. He's a senior technician, and he earns $4,500 per month. His wife, Mrs. Tan, is a housewife about the same age. I didn't ask the wife's age, but about the same. They have 2 kids. The son has finished NS, going to university now, daughter still in school. So the household income is not bad, $4,500 per month. And they're living in a 4-room flat in Ang Mo Kio. You can see the flat there. They are, I think, on the 5th floor. Fully paid up, $450,000 worth of a flat. So this is a Tan family now. Now, I said to Mr. Tan, think about it. In 10 years' time, your children will have grown up, finished studying, working, perhaps married. You will be still working. You could be on the point of retiring, but your expenses will be less in retirement, so you won't need the same income as now. So I asked Mr. Tan, how much do you think you will need in retirement every month? What will we need? So he thought about it. While he thinks about it, let me ask you what you think he needs. What do you think? $3,000 per month? That's about 2/3 what he's getting now. $2,000 per month? Half, less than half what he's getting now. Or $1,000 per month, which is less than a quarter of the current income. Let's have a show of hands. We decide for the Tans. Who says he needs $3,000 per month? Upstairs, nobody put hands up. Okay. Who says he needs $2,000 a month? Enough. Oh, this is more. Okay, who says $1,000 enough? Old people don't spend much money. Nobody. Okay, so I take it that you think he needs about $2,000 a month. Right? Which is what Mr. Tan said too after thinking it over. Now, just as well. So let me ask you this, which is what Mr. Tan asked me. To get $2,000 a month from the age of 65 for the rest of his life, how much money do you think he must put in to the CPF now and lock up so that 65 years old he can start drawing $2,000 a month? So Mr. Tan didn't know the answer, but I had a calculator. CPF has these things, and they did the sums. So I looked up the answer, and the answer is he needs $250,000 now, when he's 55 years old, in order to get what he wants, if it is all to come from the CPF, $2,000 a month. And I don't have to tell you, but this is more than the MS, which is only $155K. So I told Mr. Tan this. He looked a bit disappointed. He says, I don't have $155K. So I said, well, you own a house, right? He said, yes. So I said, the CPF lets you count your house in the MS. So your house can make up half the MS. And then you only need to put $77,500 of cash in the CPF. If you want, you can take the rest out. And then you will have made up your full MS, half property, half cash. So he brightened up. He says, $77,500, no problem. I can take some money out now, go on holiday with my wife. Then I said, I haven't finished the sum. $250,000, you get $2,000. $77,500, if you only leave $77,500 in the CPF, you will get out of the CPF, how much do you think? All of $600 per month. So if you need $2,000, this is not going to be enough, and you'll have to think of some other sources of income when you reach 65. So he stopped planning his holiday He asked me, so what can I do? I said, well, you have several options. First, you could continue working, because 10 years' time, most likely, we're working with NTUC. We should have raised the re-employment age beyond 65, and if you're still healthy, I would strongly encourage you to continue working. Secondly, your children will be working, and they may help to support you. I hope so, because we teach them that in school. Thirdly, you can draw on your personal savings. You told me you had some POSB account savings, so that's for a rainy day and for old age. Or you can get some money out of your house. So Mr. Tan says, now, okay, how do I do that? So I said, well, there are several ways you can take money out of your house. You could rent out one room. You post an ad on Property Guru. One room in Ang Mo Kio, how much do you think? $1,000. Well, I told him, conservatively, you can get $700 a month. That's per month, steady income. Or if you're going to move in with your children have married, you can move in with them. You can rent out the whole flat. And how much do you think you can get renting out the whole flat? In fact, you can check up the answer in the Straits Times, because HDB publishes the data. Ang Mo Kio, 4-room flat, currently $2,500 per month. Not bad. The third thing you could do is you could right size. What does right sizing mean? Right sizing means you sell this flat, you buy a smaller flat. Let's say you buy a studio apartment. You move into the studio apartment, and then in the process, you can enjoy a silver housing bonus from the government, which is $20,000. And if you do this, we can do the sums, you'll get quite a lot of money. $210,000 plus $800 per month. $800 per month is additional income, and it's on top of what CPF Life was going to pay you. So Mr. Tan says, wow, sounds good. Then he got a bit carried away. He says, if I'm going to live with my daughter, why don't I just sell my flat outright? I'll get even more money. So I said, well, I encourage you to stay with your children, but I would advise you to think very, very carefully before you sell your flat. Because I've seen so many sad cases. Seniors cashed out unwisely, cheated of all their money, sometimes even turfed out by their children. Quarrel with children, quarrel with in-laws. So it's better you keep your property. Even if you rent out the whole flat, doesn't matter. It's yours, you can fall back on it for your old age, just in case anything happens. So he paused again. Then he asked me a new question. He says, my neighbor, 3-room, he just turned 65. He's a bit older than me. He did a lease buyback with HDB. How does that work? So I said, sorry, lease buyback not for you. Lease buyback 3-room, your 4-room cannot. So he says, never mind. Assuming can, then how? So I said, okay, if you really want to know, let me explain to you, but remember, cannot. So here's how it works. You bought this flat when you got married, and it came with a 99-year lease. Looks very long. So this line is a 99-year lease on your flat. You've lived in it since then, now quarter century. In 10 years' time, you'll be 65 years old, and you will still have this long lease left. In fact, the long lease left is about 65 years. So I think when you're 65, you probably are not going to live in this house for another 65 years, right? So he said, okay. So I said, well, so let's say you live in this house for another 30 years. Then you really don't need the rest of the lease beyond that. You only need these 30 years. So this part you can sell to HDB, and HDB will buy back from you. That's why it's called a lease buyback. And if they buy it back from you, then they'll shorten your lease and they'll give you some money. So he says, how much? So we did the sums, assuming he can get it. Well, he gets $27,500 plus $900 per month. And again, this is on top of what he gets from CPF. is not quite as much cash as if he's right-sizing, but that's because he can continue to stay in the same flat. And he can even rent out a room in the flat if he wants. But I said, sorry, yours 4 rooms, so no lease buyback. So Mr. Tan says, oh, what a pity. Can I see my MP or not? To appeal for lease buyback. So I told him, sure, your MP, I think this is Lee Hsien Loong, Block 322 Avenue 3 every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. And that's how my advisory session ended, and next thing I knew, I saw Mr. Tan at my MPS.